Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of my new podcast, the Choppin' It Up Braves podcast. I am Aaron. I'll be the host, the only host, for now at least, unless I find someone to talk about the Braves with. But um, just jumping right into it, it's been a really rough stretch for the Braves. We've had a really hard time just really doing anything. Um, Offensively, pitching wise, bullpen stuff. Um, so, just first off, let's talk this series with the Royals. The Royals aren't exactly a team you would want to lose a series to. They're obviously better record than the Braves. Probably better than just playing better than the Braves in general this year. Uh, but it's just been a really rough stretch for this team. Unlucky, poor player performance. The pieces that you need at the deadline to stop kind of performing well. And let's just hop right into this, series analysis. Really the only bright spot for the Braves recently throughout this whole series was Michael Harris, who's been extremely hot recently. He's been hitting, close to 500 um, over the last week or two, if I'm right about that. And, before stuff happened, Acuna was playing well. Murphy's still playing solid. Baldwin's playing solid when he is playing. I expect that to be close to every day after the deadline happens. So yeah, so just hopping right into this, Royals series, it was tough to watch. I can't watch every game. I don't live in Georgia. I don't have Bally Sports. I don't have MLB TV. But I follow the games closely. All the storylines that happen during the game, and just from what I see, every single game, it's just disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And, it's really hard to believe in this team, especially in the future for next year, to say, will all of this just get fixed by next year? We're likely going to get a new manager. I hope it's not Walt Weiss. No offense to Walt Weiss. He's a great, coach who's been with the team for a while. But we just need a new start. We can't, have that Bobby Cox era still with us or, the Snitker era with us. So I think that means two things after the season. Is just Brian Snitker will likely retire, and the rest of those guys will probably get fired unless if we really like them. So it's just been a struggle. It's been a struggle to be a Braves fan this year, and it makes me worry about the future um, for this team. And this team is nothing compared to last year. Obviously, we're not, or even 2 years ago. Last year was seen as kind of a dud year. Where 90 wins was considered bad last year. I think we'll be lucky to escape with 90 losses this year. And, that all can be chalked up to player performance. Profar being suspended, 80 games, 82 games, whatever it was. Harris, Albies being in slumps all year long, pretty much. Nick Allen playing great defense, don't get me wrong, but just doing absolutely nothing on the hitting side of things. Kind of similar to how Harris has been playing this year. Just very poor on the hitting side, but playing great on the defensive side. Harris has obviously picked it up recently. You know, Too late, is my take. But injuries this year for the Braves. Our entire, obviously starting rotation from opening day is now on the IL. Sale, Schwellenbach, Smith Shawver, Lopez, and forgot who the other one was. It's probably someone obvious. And I look like a bad fan right now. But man, it's tough right now. The Braves are one of the better run organizations in baseball. They extended a lot of the young guys, extended Strider, Harris, Albies, Olson, kind of under a cheap contract, Riley kind of under a cheap contract. And I can only think it's a matter of time until Schwellenbach, Baldwin get those kind of extensions for this team. So, you know, I think this year can really be chalked up to player performance, injuries. The bullpen is just overall pretty terrible this year. I mean, no one in the bullpen is really playing great. Dylan Lee was playing all-star, one of the best relievers in baseball for the first 3 months, 4 months until this month. It's currently June 30th or July 30th, sorry. And he's been really poor this month. What are you gonna do? Everyone on this team has been poor this month. Um, Daysbel Hernandez has been great out of the pen, giving up a lot of walks. I think he has, as many walks as he does innings pitched. But it's just been rough. I won't kind of hold on to it for too long because quite frankly I'm done with this season. I We got walked off today and I wasn't watching it because I really don't have any interest in watching these games anymore. Even when they're the free game of the day or they're on TV, I don't have a lot of interest in watching these games. I watch them every time because I think we're not on very often. I gotta watch while I can, see Acuna while I can, see all these guys while I can. Um, but we got walked off by the Royals today, 1-0 whole or 0-0 whole game. Uh, Joey Wentz pitched a fantastic game, 6.2 scoreless. I think he only gave up one hit, had like 9 strikeouts. Played just absolutely fantastic today. And we go out and we lose in the 10th. I believe it was Montero with the loss. Just let me double check this here really quick. Oh, okay, cool. It was Isabel Hernandez with the loss. Just as I was kind of gassing him up. But yeah, this offense isn't clicking. Nothing's clicking right now. I said this multiple times already, only like 5 minutes into the podcast. But it's just been rough. We got walked off today, and I really had no emotion. I talked to my brother. I said, Joey Wentz pitched great today. Michael Harris is on a great run. It's not really going to do much, but it's something. And then 30 seconds later, I go, the Braves got walked off, and I went and I go grab my dinner and I ate. Um, so yeah, it's just not. It's hard right now, to be honest. It's a tough time to be a Braves fan, and it brings a lot of questions for next year. Like I said before, um, so offense really clicked for the first 2 games of this Royals series. 16 runs in the first 2 games of the series. Won 10-7 on Monday, and lost 6-9 or 9-6 on Tuesday. Maybe offense is starting to click, and maybe we just have to get the pitching, ready, finish close enough to get to 500. And then today, pitching finally showed up. Bullpen finally showed up a little bit. But mostly Joey Wentz pitched a stupendous game, if you will, and offense didn't show up. No one really hit today. Obviously, Acuna was out. I'll touch on that later. Um, yeah, no one really hit the ball well today. If you only like 3 or 4 guys had hits, and all those guys only had one hit. No one had over 2 hits on the team, and it's just abysmal right now. Um, so with that being said, let's move on to our next topic, which unfortunately is Ronald Acuna landing on the IL with a grade 1 right calf strain. It blows my mind. I know a lot of people have been saying this on Twitter. It blows my mind that Brian Snitker and any other person on the staff let Ronald Acuna go out there after he was complaining about his calf being sore or him having discomfort in his calf. Yesterday for the past few days, I believe he's actually been saying that. It blows my mind that he that we let him go out there and just play a full game. Not even DH, just play a full game in right field. And it just leaves me thinking, like, what are we doing right now that leaves us to have to play Ronald Acuna in a lost season against a mid team, not in our division. And, yeah, maybe it would be cool if we want to, win the series in 2 games. We haven't won a series since the All-Star break. Maybe it would be fun if that happened. But no, we decided to let him go in, play, do whatever he wanted in right field, no restrictions. Like I said, didn't even DH him in that game, and it blows my mind that we let that happen to our franchise player who should get extended soon. Um, and instead now we're left with Jared Kelenic, Eli White, and uh, I can't even do this. I can't put into words how disappointed I am in Brian Snitker this year and our entire coaching staff at that. Like, what could have changed from last year, Brian Snitker, to now, where we're sitting here, we're 17 games under 500 in the season, 45 and 62 at the time of recording. And it just blows my mind on how much manager can decrease in 1 year. He's not showing any fight anymore. He's making bad decisions, quite frankly, like leaving Acuna out there, not taking pitchers out at the right times, um, not just really checking out of every game. He's been falling asleep in the dugout. It has just been unbelievable to see what's happening and to see all these teams in our division, getting better. The Yohan Duran trade broke half an hour ago at this point, and the Mets just traded for Ryan Helsley. Um, so that leaves us thinking we are a championship caliber team with this roster. We won 100. We won 102 games, or won 100 games back to back years with relatively the same roster. We had Eddie Rosario in left for a few years. We had some randoms in left for a few years. Now we were supposed to have a stable left fielder that we needed for so long in Jurickson Profar. He gets suspended, and even ever since he's come back from suspension, he has not been playing well. Obviously Dansby Swanson's gone. Our catcher position has only gotten better. Uh, you know, William Contreras is probably one of the best catchers in baseball, but at the time he was on the Braves. We still could have done better with our you know catching. But relatively the same team. We still have Olson, Riley, Harris, Ozuna, Albies, Murphy was on those teams, Acuna. Um, and I wonder like what could have just happened in that time period of the Braves between that 103 win year, the 102, 103 win year, to the 90 win year last year, which was disappointing, but it was like, okay, we still win the playoffs and we were a decent team. To now this year where we seriously have a chance of losing 100 games. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think we're going to lose upwards of 90 games this year. And this leads into my next topic, which is just overall organizational frustrations. I am a firm believer that Tim Hires, our hitting coach, is a big problem in this team. Ever since he came in this year, every hitter is playing worse except for Ronald Acuna. Matt Olson, really the only hitter that's carried over from last year. I mean, even last year wasn't playing great, um, but he's playing good enough, and he's still playing good enough this year. He's playing solid baseball. He's got like a 260 average, 18 home runs, playing perfectly fine baseball for this team. Austin Riley has taken a dip. Michael Harris has taken a tremendous dip from last year. Even when last year he was hitting 260, his average still has dropped, 30, 40 points this year. Um, Albies is playing worse. That could be chalked up to his wrist injury. That could be chalked up to anything. He's had a lot of injuries recently, but you got to think a part of that is the coach. I'm not saying all of it, but it is something. You can't really do anything with Nick Allen, not a natural born hitter. Um, and I want to just talk about Alex Anthopoulos because obviously one of the better GMs in the game has a really smart strategy of calling out players if they play good for a year, get them signed to big extensions under team friendly deals, and win games for the next 10 years. And my question is, if he loves doing that so much, if anyone's watching this and you want to correct me on any of this, please do. Why aren't we giving Acuna a lifetime contract right now? I understand he gets hurt. I understand he, doesn't see the field as much as a guy like Aaron Judge or Juan Soto. Um, Juan Soto's making 50 million a year. I think Acuna is a same caliber, same par player with Juan Soto, if not better than Juan Soto. And if Alex Anthopoulos is thinking I have Acuna. He gets injured a lot, but when he is playing, he's maybe the best player in baseball, hitting 300, 15 home runs already, and, probably 80 games. I don't know exactly how much he has this year, but, close to that. And it just makes you wonder, like, what is the strategy right now behind this? Because every other team is getting better around us. Phillies obviously just made that trade for Duran. Ryan Helsley's going to the Mets now. Every other team around us is getting better, and we are doing nothing to get better. We're getting, you know, uh, just like Carlos Carrasco. That's not going to do anything. I understand it's for this year only because our pitching staff is torn up. But even if we're bad, we can still buy a little bit. We're not doing anything in free agency. I'm sure we're gonna make a lot more moves in the winter. Um, at just in the offseason in general. I hope we trade Profar. We might trade Albies. We might trade Murphy, and it just makes you wonder, like, what is the current strategy behind this team right now? What happened between 2021, 22, 23 that changed our strategy from, oh, let's extend all of our young players, just make sure they're with us for a long time, and let's win 100 games for the next 10 years, to the point where we're seeing Acuna is on to options after next year. There haven't really been, I don't believe there's been any reports of Acuna trying to, or the Braves and Acuna making any kind of progress towards a deal. Um, Schwellenbach can wait, Baldwin can wait, obviously, but I think the main target right now should be the extension of Ronald Acuna. That's obviously the main thing. I mean, obviously he's injury prone, but knock on wood, he might. I'm actually not going to say that. That'll be too big of a jinx. Too much for me to say. But torn his ACL twice. They say they come back stronger every time they get hurt. Um, so that's really my take on the organizational part of the Braves. Um, our strategy has changed. We changed our strategy from extending our young guys to when uh, from sorry, I'm reading this trade right now. It's kind of hard to. Okay, they got nobody. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's very confusing to me. Obviously, if anyone wants to comment and explain why the Brave strategy has changed, please do. That strategy worked, and we're moving away from it, and it's showing. We're not making. Uh, we didn't really make any deadline moves last year. We didn't. We're not going to make any this year except for um, Ozuna, and we've made a few that we'll get to in a second. But Snicker's going to be gone after this year. Very likely, I'll probably like a 95% chance he'll be gone. And along that, unless if we hire Walt Weiss as our manager for the next few years, I expect a lot of other people to be gone with him. So with that being said, let's move on to our final topic, the trade deadline. The Braves made a move uh, today, acquiring another pretty mid reliever. Um, obviously, it's not. I mean, it's not gonna make. It's not gonna fix the season. Nothing's gonna fix the season at this point. But it's something. Getting Tyler Kinley from the Rockies. I forgot his name honestly. In exchange for Austin Smith. Never heard of him honestly. If he goes on to be a MLB great, you can pull that clip and roast me all you want. But on the good side, we did DFA Niel De Los Santos, who was fine for the first few months, and then in his last 15 appearances, he has a ERA over 8 in his last 15 appearances, which is obviously not what you want from your bullpen, especially when they're struggling like the Braves are right now. So yeah, it's a move. We obviously got Carlos Carrasco, Eric Fetty, who started yesterday and was not great, but we just need people to eat innings at this point. Um, in my mind, we basically have three Bryce Elders on our team. They all pretty much do the same thing. They're not very good at it. Um, and so, yeah, that's kind of just all I have to say about Tyler Kinley. He's fine. He has a good away ERA. It's around 3 points less than it is in Colorado. In Colorado, it's over 7, and in away ballparks, it's like over 4. So it's not great, but it's whatever. Um, and yeah, Ozuna, uh, probably last thing I talk about here is likely gonna be dealt for very little at this point, especially since he's been playing worse the last couple weeks. He's been playing he hasn't been walking as much, he hasn't been playing as much, especially in the last couple weeks. Uh he his value has dropped off significantly. I can I can't I mean I can't even guarantee we're gonna get a top 30 prospect on a team for Marcel Zuna unless if we fleece somebody for Ozuna. But any prospect's a prospect, especially for the Braves. One of the worst farm systems in baseball. So you get what you get. You don't get upset for the Braves with prospects. I think Ozuna will get dealt after tomorrow or sometime tomorrow. I'm saying that on trade deadline eve, currently, and yeah, I mean that's really all I have to say. I think Ozuna is going to get dealt for not much at this point. I think my official prediction is he's going to go to the Padres for something. Um, he will definitely get traded for something. It obviously won't be cash, but I'm not getting my hopes up too much on what we will get in return for Ozuna. And then after that, Aaron Bummer has been receiving interest. Pierce Johnson has been receiving interest, and Raisel Iglesias has been heavily rumored to the Cubs, which he's been better recently, so I wouldn't be I would support the move. Get all that money our off of our books, but he's been better recently, and at this point we just need people in the bullpen that can go out and uh you know not give up a run for an inning, and then the guy in the next inning will give up a run. We just need people like that just won't that'll pitch one inning, won't give up a run, and won't give up a run. Maybe one every 3 games. Um, Pierce Johnson has just been kind of floated around in the trade market, very reliever needy trade market this year for everybody pretty much in the league. So it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if we traded Pierce Johnson and Aaron Bummer tomorrow and Raisel Iglesias tomorrow. I think tomorrow could be a very active day for the Braves. And for those guys, I think the return will be very similar for all three of them. Maybe we can get more for, Aaron Bummer, who I think he's under contract after this year. I'm not sure. I have to fact check myself after this. But I believe he is under contract after next year. I think Pierce Johnson is expiring, and Iglesias, I'm not sure about. I know I look like a casual, but I swear I am locked in. Um, so with that being said, I think that's pretty much it on the first episode of the Chopping It Up podcast. Thank you for tuning in. This show will get better over time. I know I'm not a great speaker, but it will get better over time. So thank you for watching, and I will see you probably next week after the deadline. Peace.